Yes. Welcome and come well once again to another episode, another doorway, another portal, another gateway, another passage entitled Am I as I am, as you are? Today's episode we're going to be touching upon what is the infusion of mates. Why do mates happen to infuse in many different ways? I'm going to go down a list of things how two people infuse into one energy, because they actually derive from one energy. So basically, today we'll be discussing and building on the infusion of mates. What is the infusion of mates? If you're already familiar with this channel, you know how we go. I go line for line, or what I call doorway after doorway, and together we walk down this hallway. Just gonna go line for line as I usually do, and guess we'll take it from there. Okay. So this is based on today's episode is based on the mysterious infusing of mates. In other words, of understanding how the two actually become one because they derive from the one to begin with. See, two resort back to the one because the one is actually where the two derive from. Okay? Understand that. Of course, if you're familiar with my channel, you know I touch upon dealing with principles based upon topics of relationships, companionships, mates, husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, significant others, what we call another, or the other, or significant other. It's nothing but you. It's nothing but something that you project, that you created within you, an energy you created within you that appears as an entity outside of you. Before I go along with this video, I'm just going to touch upon the book I have coming out. It'll be on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, Strands, and a few other different bookstore platforms. November 11th, 2022. I'm currently now taking pre-orders for the book. Like I told you before, it's entitled, the book I had before, As You Are. These are homemade copies, organic copies that I made from my energy, from my home to yours. But it'll be on glossy paper. It'll be professionalized. That's a word. And it'll be ready for display. It'll be ready for display and sale. November 11th, 2022. Which on the date is 11/11/22. I don't know. Do the math. Do the myth. Go figure. So entitled As You Are. It's going to be $19.99 on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, ebook, as well as audiobook, etc. Just wanted to put that out there as a little short infomercial before we go into today's topic. Okay, the clothing line website is still up. Of course, you know what it is, amasasam.com, which is am.com. The clothing line that I wear of mine, of my brand, of my energy, of my spirit, is something that I kind of personally make within my own home. I have a press and print machine as well as other machines and transfer machines. But these transfers, once again, they come from, and they're perfect. Thanks to dtftransfers.com. Once again, that's dtftransfers.com. The DTF family, once again, I appreciate you. Um, and just want to give those quick acknowledgments before we move on with today's topic. And of course, the book is based upon dealing, relationships, intimate relationships, because the book is called As You Are. The subtitle is The Art of Mastering Principles Within Personal Intimate Relationships. And these are the principles I touch upon with the topics I open up. And then I channel what I get within this moment from what I wrote down, and I just take it within a moment and delivering it to the listeners, the watchers, and those on this specific path of understanding this experience, specific experience. Alright, so let's go to the first line of doorway. Alright, let's walk down this hallway. During the act of infusion, two mates sooner or later start to act alike. You know how you may act like your girl, or your girl may start to act like you. She may do bodily, expressions and gestures, looking like you, acting like you. And, it's funny too, because, this is why babies mimic you when you play peekaboo with them sometimes, You may have a baby playing peekaboo, and you're saying peekaboo, you're playing with them, peekaboo, 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 and then they start laughing and giggling, but sooner or later they start trying to put their hands over their face, and they're trying to mimic you. See, no matter how old you get, there's no old. But no matter how much you accelerate in this experience, you're gonna always find some way to mimic something or somebody. And this is dealing with influence and inspiration. We're all subject and governed to influence, or under the principle of influence and under the principle of inspiration. And that is a form of mimic or copy. Which is why we have a mirror as well. There's so many different ways of looking at this. But no matter how you get from an adult, to senior citizen, whatever you want to call these titles that don't exist, but as you accelerate in the experience of life, you're going to see, no matter how much you begin to accelerate, you see that always resort back to how a baby is, because that's who and how and what you always are, no matter what age you think you are. You're always going to act and mimic a certain way, whether intentionally or unintentionally, it's going to happen. It's inevitable, which is why you may hear a song and sing along with them, or you may see an actor who's funny, a comedian, or some action, like people that came out the movie Rambo began boxing and wanted to box and play with their friends and slap box, or people that came out of Bruce Lee movie wanted to start kicking and doing all kind of moves because we mimic those who inspire us in some way or influence us in some way. And that can definitely happen. Quick activation can happen within a relationship, whether you know it or not, known to you or unbeknownst to you. So this is why people begin to act like each other in a relationship or in a marriage or in a joining or a union or companionship. They begin to act like each other because they're around each other. Time and experience and time, reflecting off of one another daily, constantly. It's bound, the one thing is bound to find its oneness within the two reflecting each other. The two creations which created each other reflecting each other. It's bound to find its oneness. It's true oneness. Okay? I'm going to get a little more into that. The next line of doorway is two people begin to look alike. And you see, just that even happens with pets, and this is because we're all kind of clay-like or moldable. We're moldable. We can be molded, just like a man can hold a woman during sexual intercourse in certain ways and begin to mold her body, mold her hips. mold her bottom, mold her hips, her waist, her chest, you know, her back. Depending upon how he's holding her, we begin to mold. We're molders, we're sculptors by nature, especially the masculine aspect. When it comes to physicalization, a woman can have an effect on the shape and architecture of a man's mind, but the man has the access to mold on the physical part of a woman's body, or physical parts of a woman's body. Okay? So we're all clay in some way, which is why even in the religious texts and scriptures they say Adam was made of clay, or something with clay and Adam that was written within biblical texts and other religious scriptures and things of that nature. But this is not based on religion. This is not really based on spiritual nature as well. It's kind of connected to it, but this is more based solely and primarily based in the understanding of principle. Okay, that which is invisible, intangible, and transparent. Okay? And this is where I'm trying to cross those over into. Okay, into the understanding. Pardon the mosquitoes right now; they all over me at the moment. Anyway, so yeah, people begin to look alike, and this comes from a certain kind of embracement, appreciation, and endearment of one another, which is why the dog starts to look like the owner starts to look like the cat, or the pets look like the owner looks like the pet. Time and experience and time creates a mimicking effect, a reflecting effect, especially if there's care, compassion, affection, appreciation. These principles are in play, then a certain kind of mimicking and copying effect begins to take place that maybe they might not see, but other people and other entities and individuals and beings outside of them looking at them can see and witness and recognize and realize that even the two may not be able to witness, realize, and recognize themselves. But it is evident and it is a truth. Okay? The next line or doorway is they begin to speak alike. Two people in a relationship also begin to speak alike, which means that not only looks or images are recording or mimicking or copying, but it also falls deep into the vocal cords as well, into the speech pattern, the tone, value. All these things begin to become one thing eventually, because no matter how many 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, no matter how many the one is split up into, it always resorts back to the one, or always remains at the one, regardless of how many times it slices or loafs itself into, or how many splits within its loaf it appears to be, but it's actually one loaf and actually one thing. Okay, so no matter how, two people think there are two people, that's not so, according to this path. That's why, it's also like, like I said, speaking alike, so it goes into the vocal cords, the look alike, it goes into the image, the act alike, it goes into the expression. So you have these different principles where there's one thing which is split into two, split itself into two, in order to to retreat back to its oneness. See? So you and her don't take things too personal. You and him don't take things too personal, because this reality and this path and this understanding is not based on personal, but it's based solely and primarily on the understanding and experience of what principle is, which is the one thing. Not the appearing two things, but the one thing, which keeps the two things together. Okay? The next line in our doorway is holding each other's hands or hugging each other for an undetermined period of time. And the reason why I brought this up is because sooner or later you no longer feel each other's physical presence anymore. And it's something like saying one word over and over and over and over again. As when you say this word over and over and over again, whatever word you're saying, Sooner or later, that word doesn't have the definition anymore. It feels like it doesn't have any feelings. Like it's kind of see-through. It's not there. You can say cat, 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 cat. You say that 13 times or more. It begins to lose its definition. It begins to lose its body of what you knew what a cat was. It begins to become invisible. So somebody touching or holding hands or hugging for too long. I don't know if you ever experienced that, but I'm sure some of you have, indefinitely, held somebody's hand in the bed, walking down the street, wherever you at, and after a while you no longer feel that person's hand, you no longer feel her hand. She no longer feels your hand. Because the heart beating from the heart to the pulse to the palm, her different heartbeat and his different heartbeat begin to become one heartbeat. And when it becomes one heartbeat, the two people begin to disappear and uprise as the one. See, so no matter how much the two are embracing or together or experiencing, the one is always there to validate itself. Whether you recognize it, realize it, acknowledge it or not, it's always there. Which is why I said two people can hug for an undetermined period of time, can hold hands for an undetermined period of time, and after a while, they no longer feel each other. This is not amazing. This is not crazy. This is not weird. This is natural. Because the one always been there. You just haven't. You have no knowledge of it and no acknowledgement of it, and don't. Therefore, you can't realize it and recognize its occurrence, or its purpose, or its existence. Because you're too caught up in the two. You're looking at her, you're looking at him, and you're giving too much validation to the illusional physical form which you two think you truly are, but aren't, and never were to begin with. See, if there was nothing in the middle to keep you two together, how would you two remain together? What you call LOVE, what you call care, affection, compassion. If that principle wasn't there in the middle, how could two things come together and have an experience together without the one thing primarily first being? And that's the point of direction and attention I work on navigating individuals' attention to, or directing and or redirecting their attention to and within. Because when they see that one thing, no matter how personal he is and no matter how personal she is, they automatically begin to eliminate self. They begin to self-destruct. And their only purpose is to keep that centered harmony, that centered balance, that primary centered existence imbued, illuminated, radiating. And their purpose is for that. They serve that, knowing that that serves them first. So they serve that second. Because they're resorting back to their zeroness. The two become one and the one become none. Understand that? Two people, him and her, become one entity, and the one becomes none. And when those two can come to a one, they automatically, with the awareness, consciousness, and knowledge of self, willingly or unwillingly, will resort and retreat back to the resource of the none. And therefore, it's not about him. See, you no longer have a problem with him because he doesn't exist. He's your creation. He's your projection. No longer have a problem with her because you know that she doesn't exist. She's just a projection, a creation of you, inside of you. She is an energy. She was an energy within you, turned into an entity. He was an energy within you, turned into an entity. And these energies come from need, want, desire, fantasy, need, want, desire, and fantasy. And those energies appear on the outside of you as an entity, which is why you may find her attractive, and which is why you may find him handsome or attractive as well, because that's what you've invoked within you and conjured up in you, so much to a degree that the will had to appear it. The willingness had to give it permission and access into an outside reality of you so that your physicalized self may interact with in order to spark an internal activation within you for the purpose of illumination. See? Consciousness awareness. The one resorting back to its none. O-N-E resorting back to its N-O-N-E. Okay? I don't want to get too crazy into that. Let me get to the next line in our doorway is, you and her or you and him begin saying the same thing at the same time. Along with texting, calling, and thinking of each other. Once again, this is a part of the alignment, synchronicity of the infusion or the infusing between two beings, between two entities, between two creations, between two projections, which you call husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, mate or mates, significant other, and companion, things of that nature, or titles of that nature, of understanding. So, it ain't nothing but the one being with its own oneness. And you call it, oh wow, we said the same shit at the same time. Wow, that's wild. No, it's not. Wow, I was just about to call you and text you. And you text me at the same time. Isn't that crazy? No, it's not. It's normal. It's natural. That's how it goes. And when you say it's crazy and weird and wild, that just shows how far from the reality of this path of gnosis and knowing and understanding that you truly are. Should be normal, because you know that the androgynous energy is trying, or the asexual, which is non-sexual, non-gender entity of existence, is always validating itself, is always confirming itself, is always giving reference to itself. You just don't see it. But you do see it. You actually do see it. But you just don't understand what you see. You're not understanding what you're experiencing. You're not fully understanding it. See, so those with awareness and are conscious of self begin to have these abstract experiences. These experiences that we may not be able to explain. We may not be able to understand it, but we can never deny that we are experiencing it. So you're experiencing it, even though you may not be able to understand what you're experiencing or explain what you're experiencing. Does it eliminate the experience itself? No, it doesn't. And that experience that you're experiencing, according to this path of understanding, is what you call principle, which is what I'm possessed by. I'm possessed by the understanding of principle. The nothing, the empty, the ones that, the understanding and the path and the passage of understanding that Buddhists, the Zen masters, and entities of this nature and understanding base their whole life on. Sharing with others to see who is also a part of this path as well. Who is also connected to this calling as well. Not a following, calling. Don't follow me for shit. Don't follow nobody. This is your own personal calling, your own private calling. If what I'm saying to you that you find relevant and relative to your path and your experience, privately, personally, sacredly, and silently within you, you connect with it, you ain't got to prove to me nothing, or nobody nothing. You ain't got to follow nothing to nobody. This is something deep within you that nobody can see, nobody can hear, nobody can experience. It's in you. Keep it in you. Learn to feed that potential, not the possibility. Learn to feed the internal potential, not the external possibility or possibilities. Okay? Okay. The next line and or doorway is you begin looking towards each other for support and acknowledgement. Why do we begin to look towards each other for support and acknowledgement? For the middle equal or balancing factor or validation of a one thing or a one thing. So it's always about the middle equal, always about the balancing factor, the validation of a one thing or a one thing. Support and acknowledgement. You're looking for her for support while you're providing. She's looking for you for providing while she's supporting. This leaning on each other, this relying on each other is nothing but a meter. Remember, that meter wouldn't be there without the one thing in the middle that's there for the meter to be. If that one thing wasn't there to go like this, there would be no meter. You see, so you and her or you and him going back and forth, provide, support, provide, support, provide, acknowledgement, attention, acknowledgement. It's to get out the game of the side picking or the one and the two or the split. The split, because there is no split. There is no sides. The switching of sides is validation of something in the middle, which is actually looking to the left, and something which is actually looking to the right. What is that one thing which is witnessing, looking, and listening to the left and the right parties? That is where you have to get to. Well, how do I get to it? By becoming less personal, becoming impersonal, and that leading you to understanding principle. Learn to eliminate yourself. Learn to take yourself out the equation. Become the zero. Embrace the empty. And not saying to forget what's personal, forget your personality, or to totally just forget the person that you are. No. Your brain is a split thing. You have the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of the brain. You're going to judge. You're going to pick sides. You're going to do things. Say that's wrong, that's right, that's bad, that's good, because you have a split in the middle of your brain. But I'm saying don't give your attention to that, because it's going to do what it's going to do when it's supposed to do what it's supposed to do, to serve you. But you don't have to put your attention in, because it's going to do what it's going to do. Just like you don't have to learn to love your mother. You don't have to learn to love your father. You don't have to learn to care for your mate. It's a natural occurrence. So therefore, you don't have to work on it. So it's like, okay, that's an obvious thing. So I don't have to work on the obvious. So what do I have to actually put my attention on? The subliminal, the subtle, or the subtleties of life. That's where to divert or direct or redirect your attention to, is the subtleties and the subliminal aspects of life, because that's obvious. You don't have to learn to love your mother or learn to love your father or learn to care about your mate or be affectionate towards them. You're going to naturally, spiritually express yourself in that manner towards them, because they are you. So why would you not care about yourself? So I'm saying this path is like, don't worry about the obvious. Give attention to the subtle and the subliminal, the things that almost seem like it's not there, but it is there, always was there. That's the whole point of these videos. That's the whole point of this principle, of these principles I touch upon, these topics I touch upon, is to become the zero. Become the zero that you are, which you derive from. See what I'm saying? There's certain things you don't have to give attention and energy to. It's going to be what it's going to be because you are biologically that. You are physiologically that. You don't have to put your attention on it. It's going to operate how it's supposed to. So that's what you call involuntary. But what are you voluntarily doing? See what I'm saying? Don't react to what's involuntary, because then that means you're of a lower nature, according to this path. Respond as the voluntary being, not the involuntary. Like the heart is involuntary because it beats, you don't tell it to beat. The mind is involuntary because it's going to think and have thoughts. You don't have to tell it to think and have thoughts. It's going to have it. The blood flows. It's involuntary. Things are involuntary. Don't be that all the time. Learn to be the voluntary, because that's just a program. And if you fall into that involuntary, then you're just a program, and you run as a program. But this whole path is to understand, to deprogram and then reprogram yourself. Basically, to Frankenstein yourself. In other words, if you want to put it a certain way or a certain kind of understanding. So it's learn to Frankenstein yourself, or begin to Frankenstein yourself. Create the Frankenstein out of yourself. But first you have to deprogram and then reprogram. From involuntary to voluntary. From reaction to response. See what I'm saying? So, yeah. Also keep in mind as well that we are nothing but babies. This is why, according to metaphysics and also occult wisdom, OCCULT, wisdom, OCCULT, wisdom and understanding, you're never older than the age or era or cycle or solar cycle of 7 or revolution, because that's revolution, or point of revolution is when the earth, or when they call this earth, because I already told you about my understanding of earth. I don't even know what the hell, this is a plane of existence. But if you want to say, for the sake of the conversation, earth, it goes around the sun, or the SUN, or the Sunu. Every time it goes around it, this is what they call a year. So you're never older, or you never progress beyond 7 solar cycles or 7 points of revolution, which is the 7 chakras, which is what they call the 7 chakras, which is why there are 7 chakras, which is why you can never go beyond it. So you're always a child of 7 years old, no matter if you're 70, 17, 27, 37, 47, 57, 67, 77, 87, 97, it doesn't matter, 107. Never are older than 7 points of revolution. You're never older than 7 chakras. You're never older than 7 years old, which I call 7 solar cycles young, or 7 revolutions young, or 7 revolutions present. Which is why no matter how you see people get older, but they still want to play games. They even have a Twilight Zone episode. In the Twilight Zone movie, it's called the Twilight Zone movie. I think it came out in 1987. And it's called Kick the Can. The episode is called Kick the Can, where this old man goes to his old nursing home, and he deals with these old people, and he plays a game called Kick the Can. All these old people, when they wake up the next morning or that next night, they're little children, and they're kids playing Kick the Can. Or the games that they used to play back in the 60s, 50s, and 70s, whatever that was meant for. And they always find the fun in it. Because you're never older than the kid. And kid is key, and key is chi, and chi is energy. Energy doesn't have an age. Energy is just energy. Okay? I don't want to get too crazy with that. Let's go into the next line, and or doorway. The next line and or doorway is, The reality of the one seeking itself through the illusional two. One more time. The reality of the one seeking itself through the illusional two. The two of you, you and your mate, are really just a doorway, a portal, and a black hole for the one to occur. One more time. The two of you, you and your mate, you and her, or you and him, are nothing, are really just a doorway, a portal, and a black hole for the one to occur. You appeared for the purpose of its own occurrence. You appeared and you appeared. He appeared and she appeared for the purpose of the occurrence of the one. So appearance equals occurrence, which is why you have an appearance. Both of you have images. She has an image, you have an image. She has an image, right? You appear, or you happen to appear, or be an appearance, or be an image. So the appearance is for the realization of the occurrence of the one. See, so when two people appear, why is it that something of one occurs? Which is the connection, the bond, the LOVE. Marriage, the bind, the union. So I'm saying? The gluing factor of you being with him and him being with her. See, there's always something in the middle. And this is what this whole understanding is about. And if you think about it, when I said that the two of you, you and your mate, are really just a doorway, a portal, and a black hole for the one to occur. Think about black hole for a minute. You come out of a black hole, which is a phallus, from the testicles of the man, the spermatozoa or the spermatozoa, into a black hole, which is the yoni, the womb, develop inside of a black space, which is the mother, the woman, the feminine, and then come out of a black hole, which is once again the yoni, the womb, just to witness a black view. What is that black view? When you close your eyes for the point of transition, what our ancestors are more familiar with, more in relation with, just called the graduation, crossover from one reality into another, from one form of consciousness switched into another form of consciousness, from one point of attention to another point of attention. That's what is known as DEATH. It's bullshit. DEATH is nothing but a switch of attention from one angle to another, from one conscious plane to another. A crossing over, a crossing over. So you get the whole symbol of the cross, a crossing over, a crossing over. So it's a cross, which is why it's called a cross. It's the crossover, crossover. You can go like this, like an X, as well as a small t, as well as an X. It's the crossing over. So it's nothing but a crossover. It's nothing but one side of the bridge to the other side of the bridge. From one conscious plane to another conscious plane. From one point of attention to another angle of attention. A direction and a redirection. That's all that it really is. This is why all is mind, but where's your mind at? Is your mind serving you, or is it not serving you? That's your damn problem, and what you have to neutralize within yourself according to this path. Okay, let's see. The next line in our doorway is you begin to smell like each other. Right? I know you've been like, you left your woman, you left your lady for the day, going your job or wherever you're going to do whatever you're doing. You're doing something, you start to perspire, you're like, damn, yo, I smell like her. It smells reminding me of her. What the hell's going on here? So, and the same thing for you as a woman, you're like, oh my God, I smell like him. Begin to smell like him, thinking of him, because I'm smelling him, but I'm smelling him on me, within me, right? You begin to smell like each other. Once again, this is a part of the whole purpose of this video, which is infusion. You infuse into her, and you infuse into him. Both of you infuse into each other. Eventually, over time and experience, care, affection, attention, and acknowledgement. You begin to smell like each other. And this happens from body-to-body contact of sexual fluids, saliva, sweat, genital secretion, and perspiration. And it's funny how these things are clear. They're like clear liquid, clear plasma, clear fluid, which is like they're all clear mediums for a reason. The reason is to let enter to and to enter into. To let enter into and to enter into. These clear mediums, liquids, plasma, fluids. In other words, for unlimited potential to cross over, vice versa, simultaneously. As you make out with her, or as you make out with him, as you kiss and put your mouth, genital fluids, sweat, embrace each other when you're both sweaty. These clear, that have no color, liquid fluids and plasma touch, make contact, and cross over from his body into yours and from her body into yours. This is why it's clear, because it's looking for the crossover. It's like we breathe the same oxygen. The same oxygen, but she takes an inhale and he takes an inhale of the same oxygen, the same clear medium. Same thing with plasma, liquid, and fluid. It's a clear medium. And these clear mediums seek to become a neutralized thing when it makes the crossover to become the one thing, when realized and acknowledged through wisdom and understanding by the illusional two that derive from the platform of the one. Okay? Understand where I'm going with this. So, and to enter into, in other words, for unlimited potential to cross over, vice versa, simultaneously, from him into her, from her into him. Okay? Entering into one body or black hole, and vice versa. Even the yoni and the phallus and the yoni, or the penis and vagina and penis, for other words of understanding. Synthesizing itself within your plasmic DNA, and from there progressing into your aroma, or into the development of what we know as aroma, or what we know as smell. From plasma into fume, from one form of clear into another form of clear, through the three principles of contact, secretion, and infusion. Contact, secretion, and infusion. These are the three principles of where the crossover takes place. Okay, these are the three clear medium platforms where the crossover takes place. And this crossing over from one side to another, it's not from, you don't pay attention to this crossover to this or this crossover to that. You pay attention to the bridge that the crossover is occurring on. Because once you pay attention to the bridge, or that middle medium, or that median, or that neutralizing thing in the middle, that has to be there in order for the crossover to take place, the crossover doesn't mean anything to you. Crossovers eliminate. You eliminate him, you eliminate her, and both of you disappear. And you just focus on the one thing which gives uh, the platform for the existence of the crossover to take place. See, and then this is when, like I said, when you start to resort back to principle, how can you ever take anything personal anymore? Once you realize the true nothing that you truly are, how can your attention be zoomed in on your personality and what you feel personally and your feelings and all this other crap? When you realize it's all about principle, because principle should be a whole new exciting platform for you to dive into and zoom in on. And you zoom out from your personality and zoom in on principality. It should be a natural flow according to this path, according to this understanding in this video cast that I share with you on this medium that we call YouTube. Okay? The next line, Anodoi, is you begin to say things at the same time. You say the same shit she say at the same time, and then you say the same thing he says at the same damn time. How does this occur? It's amazing, right? No, it's not. It's a product and evidence of two becoming one mind, one thinking, one intent, one speaking. One mind, one thinking, one intent, and one speaking. The key word is one. You and him or you and her are becoming one damn mind. So when you say something, don't be surprised if she says the same shit at the same time. But when you say something, don't be surprised if he says the same damn thing at the same damn time that you said it. You're becoming one mind. This is not amazing. This is just what is. Not who you appear to be, but what you truly are. Okay? The next line in Odori is, you call and or text each other at the same time. Right? You call him and text him at the same time he calls and texts you, or you call her and text her at the same time that she calls and texts you and or texts you. It's not amazing. It's normal. It's natural. It's regular. It's nothing. According to this path and understanding. To the human brain, it may be amazing because amazing comes from a maze, the maze of the mind, or the mazings of the mind, or the mazing of the mind. Like a maze, that's why you have all these squiggly lines in your brain because it's symbolic of a maze. So the brain gets a maze, but the spirit is like, okay, and what's next? What's new? It's not new to me. Next. There's nothing amazing to the spirit because the spirit doesn't have a brain. Doesn't take in memory. Doesn't care because it is the only thing in existence. Not you, not her, not him, not them or they. That doesn't even exist. So it's not amazing to the spirit, but it's amazing to the human brain. And this, when you find things amazing, this just shows how human you really are, besides how spiritual you thought you really were. Alright? But what does this mean, calling and texting each other at the same time? What does this mean? Becoming connected or becoming one wave particle in development within the technology consciousness of airwaves or aerodynamic frequencies. One more time, it's actually becoming connected or becoming one wave particle in development within the technology consciousness of airwaves or aerodynamic frequencies. Well, get a little deeper, Blue. What you mean by that? Sure. From a conscious, organic connection between you and her, into an unconscious inorganic connection, dealing with technology. A major crossing over of energy at its primordial existence of being conscious and becoming conscious in an unconscious plane of existence, technology. Using that unconscious plane, technology, as a conscious platform, beings, humans, spirits, to communicate to each other with and communicate to each other through. How does this happen? Why does this happen? How can this be? Because the one, which I always keep this on back to, will always find itself through all and any conscious intention and inorganic invention. The one will always, in capital, always find itself through all and any conscious intention, mind, from spirit to spirit, being to being, and inorganic invention, what that mind of that spiritual being creates in the physical form. So from the unphysical to the physical, the one will always find itself in the middle, no matter whether through the mind of the individual and the being, or through the invention of what the spiritual being and the mind being created. Doesn't matter, because it came, that invention, that physical invention, that inorganic physical invention came from that organic consciousness of that being. There is no separation. Just like there's no separation between you, the creation, and the creator, but the creator is also you as well. You are the creator of your creation, which is why you, the creation, can create creators for yourself. See? It's the same damn thing. The next line in our doorway is, you begin to see people in different places that look like your mate. This happens to a lot of people. Even it happened to me and others that I know as well. You be around a certain kind of people, and I'm like, damn, she look like my lady. Or she resembles my lady for some damn reason. What the fuck she like her for? She's like, damn, mom, I was thinking of you. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I called you. And it could be because she's seen somebody or some energy or some entity which had mirrored you or resembled you in some way, in some fashion, in some form. Somebody around her cipher. But it doesn't mean that that's someone that she may or he may be interested in. It's something that they are always thinking of and seeing in their mind, and they projected that outside reality outside of them. And an entity mimicked that mirror reflection of what they feel in their heart and keep on constantly saying in their mind throughout their day. Okay, once again, like I said, energy converts into entity. An energy that you are feeling, or that you are about in the moment, converts itself and transforms into an entity. Okay? So that energy that you're feeling will mirror reflect or create an entity that is the perfect reflection of what you are feeling. Just to show you about who and what you are thinking about and feeling, and what you are feeling in that present moment. Within that place between time and space. Okay? And what this means is, see people in different places that look like your mate. The one that you're only seeing, and this is, dealing with the mind, this is the one that you're only seeing, your mate. This is the one that you're only seeing, always seeing, and can only see. Because you're thinking about it constantly throughout your day. You're thinking about her constantly throughout your day. And all you see and can imagine is them. So all you see is them anywhere and everywhere. See? Everything is in constant transformation. Everything is in constant transformation. Nobody is a body. We're all truly invisible. Our true nature is transparent and invisible. See, so somebody may see something in us that we may not see, but it's going according to their mind and their creation and their energy that they're projecting out through their eyes or their pupil, that is coming back as a relation or something similar or familiar to them, reflecting outward a part of their mind and feeling inward, but that they can only see. You don't see it. Yeah? From the outside in. So the one that you're only seeing, always seeing, and can only see. All you see and imagine is them, so all you see is them anywhere and everywhere. Period. Since they are primarily your creation, since your mate, your girl, your woman, your man is your creation, primarily your creation, all you can see is you and yours. Because there's nothing outside of you. There's nothing else in existence but I. But the I. But the I. Letter I. Singular, not plural. Nothing else exists outside of that. Nothing else exists outside of you. See, and this is the whole understanding. According to this path, for the walkers of this path. And the walkers of this path, I mean by those who find this relative and relevant to their experience. Undoubtedly, whether you can explain it, understand it, or not, you can never deny that you're experiencing it for some damn reason. And you're just like me, and I'm just like you. Matter of fact, you are me, and I am, which is the very reason why you're even listening to this video cast. You're not listening to me, you're listening to you. I am just an entity, which is an energy projected from you as the entity of the reflection of something inside of you that had to be in a physical form in a thing called language, possessing something called an image for you to listen to, watch, and interact with, and take some type of extract something from, to activate something within you. I'm soon going to have these, very soon going to have these video casts on live chat. I'm going to be doing YouTube videos live. And it's going to be up for chat. And as I'm talking upon certain topics within the realm of principle, you can also send questions throughout the chat, and we all going to be building from that point forward. But we all always remember, it's just one damn thing. We're not all. There's no such thing as the word all. It's just one. Okay? The next line in the doorway is sneeze and cough at the same time. Why do you sneeze and cough at the same time with him? Or why do you sneeze and cough at the same time when she sneezes and coughs? Well, it's because of the infusion of biologies and biological reactions meeting at one point of expression. Correspondence. If her or his stomach hurts, then what you do is you vomit for them to clear out their system. Now, this is one of the creation. Brother Hemi, put like that. He had shared this story before in a lecture when he was saying that his wife or his queen wasn't feeling too well. And since they were so connected and intertwined and fused, she wasn't feeling too well. She had stomach virus or something wrong, and she was feeling nauseous or something happened. And he said, okay, hold on 1 second. He went in the bathroom, put his finger in his mouth, vomited in the toilet, flushed the toilet, came back out, looked at her. She looked at him and said, oh, I feel much better now. Remember, you guys are kissing, trading saliva, trading fluids, hugging each other when each other's perspirating, trading sweat. biology is infused, and it becomes harmonic or aligned or synchronized with the parallel partnership of the beating of the heart. So those two become one. See? So if she has a headache, clear out your mind. If he has a headache, clear out your mind. He'll become clear-minded. She'll become mentally balanced. In that moment, that's it. It's that simple. There's no technicalities. It's very simple. Nature or the neteru, it gives you a very simple prescription. And it comes in images. Like a banana is like a phallus, right? Well, guess what? It's good for the penis. Berries is good for the testicles. But why does it look like testicles? Even nature gives you the most simplest form. It's not hard to understand. It comes in shapes and things of that nature. But, it gets a lot more simplified. Just want to make that, part of the understanding. But it's all based in the understanding and the principle of what we know as correspondence. We're all connected. We're all aligned. We're all parallel to each other, not opposites, but parallel and complementaries, which I learned from Brother Valley, one of my main teachers, one of my main creations. It's complementary. We're not opposites. We're not opposing. We're not oppositions to each other. We're complementing each other. She compliments me and I compliment her. You compliment her and you compliment him. It's a complemented relationship. You give reference to him and you give reference to her. Therefore, nobody is inferior, superior, higher or lower, platform or plateaued. No. Everything is eye to eye. And eye to eye is nothing but eye to eye. Which is why the letter I was like number one, because it always resorts back to the one. And the one always resorts back to the no. Okay? I think I said this, you look alike, you begin to look like each other. The next line in our doorway is, I touched upon this another like, you begin to look like each other. Right? You begin to look like her, she begins to look like you, especially as time and experience moves on from moment. It's a momentary thing, a momentary phenomenon. I don't want to say from moment to moment because there's just one moment in existence. There's a momentary phenomenon. As they accelerate from 60 revolutions to 70 revolutions, from 50, 60, 70 solar cycles of revolutions and 80, as they remain together, they begin to look like each other. That's your mirror or reflection in clay formation. In other words, why wouldn't the creation want to look like its creator? It is of it, is it, and as it. Logically. Nothing else can be in existence, but it. There is nothing else in existence but it. So why wouldn't the creation want to look like its creator? Remember I told you, she's a creation of you, and he is a creation of you. Why wouldn't and how can the creation not look like its own creator which created it? It came from it. Why do you think you look like your mother and your father? In some form, in some degree. You may look more like your mother than your father, or you may look more like your father than your mother, but you look like them in some way, in some form. And within time and experience, two mates begin to look like each other because you're not your face or your head. Understand that the word face derives from the word or connected to the word force, and the word head derives or connected to the word hide. So your face and your head is a force which hides, which is why you cannot see your face. I can see my face now through the medium of a screen of where I'm recording on for this video cast, but from me looking out, I can't see my face. I can only see my hair in front of my face at the moment, but I can't see my face or my head because it is a force which hides, which means that other people that are looking at you is nothing but a force which is hiding, which can morph and transform into different clay-like molds at any time, especially if it's looking into the face of you constantly, daily, every moment, and you're looking into the face of them constantly, daily, every moment. It's something which constantly transforms and metamorphosizes, mimicking the thing which it is looking at and which is looking at it. Which is why I said your mate is your mirror projection. It's a reflection. It's your creation. Understand? Okay, I think I said this too as well. You begin to speak or talk like each other. Influence and inspiration. The vocal cords become corresponding in accordance. The vocal cords become corresponding in accordance. This is why you begin to speak or talk like each other. No, you've been with a girl that sounds like that's not really her language. You'd be like, yo, were you with somebody before for a while? She'd be like, well, yeah, I was with my ex for this many amount of years and this and that. And you're like, damn, you talking like a way that doesn't seem like it fits your character, your personality. That's why I asked. And the same thing can go for a male as well. A female may see or realize within a male that may not be of the nature or character or behavior which he is projecting or displaying to her. You know, she can pretty much detect if how he's acting or how he's speaking may not be in accordance with his true nature of how she thinks that he truly is in that nature in front of her, or how he appears to be a certain way, you know. And this is next line I know a doorway is. This was something I was saying before that I wanted to mention. Pardon me. And this is like a practice tool to see how much you guys are aligned. I said playing card games like I Declare War. Remember that game? I Declare War. When I was young, I used to play that with my sister, my cousins, family. Playing games like I Declare War indicate your connection or synchronization or alignment or coordination and integration that you psychologically, mentally, and internally have with your mate. Now, I Declare War, the card game, was a game that, you know, when you put out a card, they put out a card. You put out a card, they put out a card. You put out a card, they put out a card. And you do this constantly on something in the middle. They put out their card, you put out your card, they put out their card. You put out your card, and these cards keep stacking up and piling up. And when these two cards are the same, if I pull out a jack and I put it down, and they pull out a jack and put it down, then we do I Declare War. Just I Declare War. So you put out 3 cards after that. I Declare, and then that War card is the 4th card that each people pull out. They pull out 3 each. I Declare, and then the 4th card that they pull out. If I pull out a 10 and they pull out a 5, I get all those cards. So I'm saying, so it's like the whole point of getting all the cards that you can possibly get. But let me not go too far with that. But it's the point of when you pull out the same card at the same damn time. And this kind of, now I understand and realize what that really and truly meant as a kid now as what I am now. But I see that when you pull out the same thing at the same damn time, it means something. You know, we just seen it at some kid games and it was fun. And we couldn't wait to pull out the same card at the same time so that we can just do I Declare War and take all their cards. Until, and the whole point is the other person who has no more cards to pull out, they lose. And the one who has all the cards wins. So when you do I Declare War, you're pulling out, and sometimes it goes double. Put the same jack out, or the same kings, or the same 10s, or the same 9s, or the same 8s, whatever it may be. And you do I Declare, and you do War as the 4th card. And that person may put out a 5, and then your war card is also 5, and you're like, oh wow, I gotta do this again. I declare, and you keep doing it to see what kind of synchronization or alignment that you have with this individual. So, like I said, I'm just saying that to say that, if you want to play with the energy or play with the spirit, you and your mate can play the game called I Declare War. And like I said, this indicates your connection, your synchronization, your alignment, your coordination, and your integration that you psychologically, mentally, and internally have or share or possess with your mates in the form of a card game. But nevertheless, it still is a spiritual understanding. Okay? Understand too what I'm touching upon this whole path and understanding of these principles I constantly touch upon with different topics and in relation with relationships, companionship, marriage, things of that nature. This whole point is to make you invisible, transparent, translucent, untouchable, and intangible. Not only to the other, but also to yourself as well, which is once again resorting the one back to its zero state of being. The one state of doing back to its zero state of being. Okay. Another thing is next line in our doorway is heartbeat to heartbeat synchronization, which is why I kind of touched upon in the beginning. It seeks to become one beat, one heart, one being. This whole reality is based on the nature of bridgings and crossovers. And that truth is evident in such things like getting your point across, to connect to the other's mind, to become one thing, cooking food for someone to eat it. Why? To inject into, to become one thing, to inject into somebody else, to become one thing with that somebody else, with that someone. Influence, inspiration, sharing your thoughts or your mind with someone, communication, interaction, etc. So heartbeat to heartbeat synchronization is what I was talking about before, when you can hold somebody's hand or hug them for so long. She may have her heart beating different than yours, or he may have his heart beating in a different beat than yours, but sooner or later those two different beats become one beat together. Because the one, like I said, is always trying to find itself or always seeking itself through the illusion of two that it's split into in the third density plane of existence, or the third dimensional plane of existence, which is the physical body, the physical form. But it's always validating its oneness. It's always confirming its oneness. It's always in reference to its own one state of being. Okay. I also did this too when I was before when you put two phones next to each other and move them in a circle or circular motion around each other, and then you listen to a third frequency or third vibration that takes place. A circling or cycling to return itself back to its one point of protrudence, to keep itself within its oneness, and to vibrate its evident confirmation of itself into the atmosphere and auric field of spatial existence. So I used to do this, I think 2 Boost mobile phones. I used to put 2 Boost mobile phones together, and I used to circle them, and you hear this, even though they're 2 different frequencies, it may be on the same surface in the same line, but it's 2 different frequencies according to how much data and program is using this one and vice versa. But when you put them together and you start to move them in a circle, it created this. I haven't did it with these new phones, but back in the day, I did it with the old phones, the Boost Mobiles, and some other, I think maybe AT&T, I'm not too sure, where I would put these 2 phones together and I would circle them. And it created a sound. That's how true it is. It's good. That's in the picture. And it created a sound. I'm rubbing these 2 phones together, not touching them, but just keeping them apart, maybe 2 inches. And it created this weird frequency, this weird sound. And you feel this abstract vibration coming from these 2 phones circling each other, which means that these 2 frequencies were trying to become one signal of existence. which is the same thing which happens between the bodies and the heartbeats of two individuals, and that one beat trying to find itself through the differentiated two heartbeats that are beating. It's trying to find that one beat. See, those two different rhythms are trying to find that one harmony, which those two rhythms connect on to become one harmonic beat. Which is, once again, like I said, you hold her hand or hold his hand for too long, all of a sudden you can't feel his hand no more. You can't feel her hand anymore. You hug each other, you don't even feel each other anymore after a certain undetermined period of time passes. And you know damn well what I'm talking about. Okay. Last line in doorway is the word mix and max is the same thing. Like infuse and mix, infusion and mixing. To mix is to bring the ultimate thing, the one thing, to its maximum state of being, its ultimate cause, its ultimate purpose, its ultimate oneness, its reason of doing and reason of being, bringing the derived it back to its primary I. Okay. The reason why I kind of connected infuse or infusion and mix or mixing or mixture is infusing is a certain kind of mixture or mix or mixing. Mixing, and mixture is a certain kind of infusing or infusion. Okay, the definition of infusion is the introduction of a new element or quality into something, quality being principle. The act or process of infusing. The continuous slow introduction of a solution, especially into a vein. This is infusion, definition of infusion. The definition of mix is combine or put together to form one substance or one mass. Two or more different qualities, principles, a mixture of principles, things, or people placed, combined, or considered together. So the mixture creates the mixing, or the mixture creates the creating, or the creature, or the creation. Mixture, creature, or creature, and mixture. The mixture or the infusing or the mixing is the creating. But it's a creating of that which was the creature to begin with, which is the primary creation of the two illusionary creators, which are two people. But two people derived from the platform of the one creature and creator, which is you. But the you that got lost inside of the you and slowly lost acknowledgement and knowledge of the I. Once again, this is the episode of what is the infusion of mates, or how mates become an infusion of one thing. And appreciate the acknowledgement and the attention, as usual. Am I as I am, most importantly, as you are. I'll see you guys next time. And until then, I'll keep you in vision. 1, 0.